This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio.
In a world where jobs are how most people make money, one man, one desire, one challenge dares to break the mold. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where we don't work for money. Money works for us. Coming soon. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manacero.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network. I'm your host, Bill Manacero, and this is a show where 50-plussers and anyone else who wants to join us get solid, no sales pitch real estate investing advice to help generate real cash flow. This podcast airs twice weekly on Mondays and Fridays, and if you aren't already a subscriber, go to iTunes, type in Old Dog, spelled D-A-W-G, find our podcast and subscribe. Hey, well, we got a great show for you today. We have Joy Gendusa is an entrepreneur, business owner, author, keynote speaker, and philanthropist. With only a phone, a computer, and postcards, no funding of any kind, Joy grew PostcardMania from a small startup into an industry leader that generated $59 million in 2018 and currently employs over 250 people in Clearwater, Florida. Her company, PostcardMania, has been featured on the Inc. 500 and 5,000 lists and has helped 81,767 small businesses and counting with their marketing. Her company is one that does a lot of work with the real estate investors, and we're going to hear some specifics in regards to how real estate investors are using this great service to reach out and find those great diamonds in the rough, those properties out there that most of us would love to be able to find. Well, Joy, welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
It's great having you here. This is going to be fun. We are always looking for great ways and new methodologies to help us to become more effective at what we do as real estate investors. And postcards are one that I'm sure there's those that are listening that have employed in their direct-to-seller efforts and trying to find those off-market opportunities, especially in today's competitive market. So I'm dying to hear about what you do. But first, can you give us just a little background on yourself and how you got into this line of work?
Well, let's see. I started PostcardMania in June of 1998, so I'm going on 21 years. As you said in the intro, I didn't have any money or investors or anything. Just started selling direct mail postcards. And how it happened was I had a little firm and I was a graphic designer and I would broker the printing for my clients. And I decided that I needed some postcards to promote my own business. And I was marketed to by a company that really sold only to the trade. And I could get 5,000 postcards for only $425, which back in 1998, that was like a steal. So I designed a postcard to market myself, and I put it on a CD. I'm an old dog too, so I had to put it on a CD.
And, well, at least it wasn't a cassette,
Yeah. And I couldn't email art back then, so I put it on a CD. I stuck it in a FedEx envelope. I overnighted it to them, and then they overnighted me back a proof. And what they had done is they added their 800 number to my proof and kind of like pissed me off. So I called them up and I said, hey, I sell printing. I'm not really interested in spending the money on postage and mailing out postcards to promote my business so that people call your 800 number that you decided to add to my art. And I was annoyed about it. And they told me, yeah, you didn't read the fine print.
For that special.
Exactly. And, it's going to be $50 if you want us to take it off. So I asked to speak to the supervisor, and the supervisor pretty much told me the same thing. They said they would remove it this time, but next time I should know that it was going to be $50. So I literally hung up the phone. I had about 4 staff, and I said, hey, we're going to start a postcard marketing company, and we're going to call it PostcardMania. And I had no clue that that was what I was going to do before that phone call with that company. It just sort of kind of flowed out of my mouth, like, this is what we're going to do. It was like an annoying experience that I thought I can do this better than them. And I can sell it directly to the small business owner instead of only to the trade. And I won't put my 800 number on everybody's art as a way to promote myself, which is kind of, a little bit slimy. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. And that was almost 21 years ago. And kind of like that, I hate to say the rest is history. That's so cliche sounding, but back then I was printing at a commercial printer, and now we have presses here at PostcardMania and do everything in-house, everything that we do. And we've gone from just printing and mailing postcards to doing integrated campaigns with postcards, Google, Facebook, Instagram, call tracking, mail tracking, all that good stuff.
Oh, neat. So you can integrate a full-on campaign with people then.
Exactly.
Very cool. That is very cool. So you were a graphic designer then before you actually launched into this new venture, but it sounds like it went well. In your first sort of launch efforts, how many did you actually send out? Did you send the ones with the 800 number, or did you did your own?
I think they took it off, and they didn't charge me that time.
Okay.
And I wasn't promoting postcards. I was just promoting my little agency with those cards. And I mailed them, I think I bought 5,000 of them, and I mailed them out slowly. But right after that happened, what I did is I put a flyer just to test out my idea. I made a flyer and I had it blown into like a local little newspaper where the distribution was only about 20,000. And my phone started ringing, and I was like, people want this. And they, it was like they couldn't believe that you could get postcards that inexpensively. And I called one of the main commercial printers that I had been working with, and I was like, how are they doing this so inexpensively? And he said, oh, they're ganging the postcards up on one sheet of paper, so everybody's sharing in the cost of the setup. And that's how he's able to sell them that cheap. We can do that for you. We'll put them on, you need to sell 16 orders at 4 1/4 by 6 in order for us to do a run. Do you think you can sell 16? And I was like, yes, I can sell 16, so that was kind of how it started.
Wow. And now has the technology changed a lot since then? I mean, in terms of the printing presses and that end of it, or is it still pretty much the same?
I mean, interestingly enough, like we still use what's called offset presses. We have both. We have some gigantic digital presses so that you can make each card customized to the recipient. And that's really the kind of cards that you're going to do best with as a real estate investor. And we do both. We have the old school presses that are called offset that they'll run like 15,000 sheets an hour, but every card is the same or static, as they say. It's all the exact same design. And then we have these humongous Komori is the brand. Not Komori, I'm sorry. Konica Minolta is our digital presses. Komori are our offset presses. These Konica Minolta giant, they're really like giant copy machines, but they do like a big sheet and 19 by 28, I think. So we can print a lot of cards up on one. And it only runs 1,500 sheets per hour, but you can have every single solitary card on that sheet be totally different. And
wow.
It's really, and then every sheet can be totally different than the sheet that just came out. So it's really a completely different technology, and has made, the ability to get very specific to your recipient and really be communicating really to that person with your message using digital printing. It's really extraordinary. And I kind of shop like a girl. Like I literally spent years shopping before I bought the presses that I bought for digital. I wanted to make sure that it was a very well-known technology and people were sort of scrambling and to get this technology on their postcards, like the end user, before I actually dove in and purchased these presses. They're probably they're almost $2 million each.
Wow. That sounds pretty high tech there.
It's pretty high tech.
What's really interesting is the fact that you I've always, I think we've all had encounters with different businesses where we just looked at a similar situation like you did, where you say, hey, I can do this better than you can do it,
Yeah.
and, but you actually committed to that. And then not only that, but then to grow your business, you use the technology that you were selling, or, basically the strategy that you were selling of postcards as a means to grow your company from scratch. And that had to be an interesting journey in itself, I would imagine.
It really was. And, when I was looking over, what you wanted to talk about with me, and one of your questions is like this light bulb moment. And it really had a lot to do with postcards and the efficacy of postcards and how well they work. I had something really interesting. We were, what year? It was probably my second year. I started in June of 98. So it was probably sometime in 1999. I felt like we were taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. It just felt kind of difficult to sort of get past this plateau in my business. And we were probably making we had just broken $1 million, and we were making about $20,000 a week in revenue. And I was mailing out at that time about 2,500 postcards a week just to promote myself. And I just looked at my assistant, who's now the president of my company, and I said, I think I'm going to double it, and let's see what happens. And I got to tell you, doubling it to 5,000 pieces a week for me at that time was kind of a scary proposition. I mean, postage itself was probably I think I was paying myself $800 a week, and I think that's what it cost to send out 5,000 pieces at that time. And in postage alone, aside from the printing. It was really quite a decision for me. It was really I already wasn't paying myself very much, and now I'm going to, double up on my mailings. And I said, let's give it 6 weeks. Let's do it hardcore for 6 weeks at 5,000, and let's see what happens. And when I tell you this, there's no exaggeration, but week 5, my revenue more than doubled than what I had been. I was kind of plateauing at that 20,000, and we broke 50,000 in revenue week 5 of me doubling the mail.
Wow. So that if you weren't already a believer at that point, I'm sure you were. I mean, just that one little experiment. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
I know. We said, just to let you know, now, 20 years later, I still do this. It's not like I switched to digital. I use digital to kind of bolster my direct mail, but I send out 160,000 direct mail pieces every single solitary week to promote PostcardMania. Wow. So I really do practice what I preach.
Interesting. Gosh, that it's one of those things too that you encounter. I have had so much experience with direct mail. I was in marketing for years as well, and we were just looking at all these different nuances with direct mail envelopes and how you how do you make the envelope more appealing and all these little tricks left and right, and it's really funny. I'd look at just my mail for the day as I sorted through it, and the things that I always were sort of the last things that I would sort of toss were the postcards, because I don't know what it is. It's just maybe the way they're solid. They're these were like color, and I was just noticing, if I'm holding on to these things like this, and I've thrown away envelopes I don't even open. Some of them I do open, but these are the things that obviously I know what they are, but I'm holding on to them because there's some perceived value there for me. I know that must be more obvious to you in your industry, and seeing how people respond, especially real estate investors.
Yeah, I mean, for real estate investors, here's the thing. It's like, even with other industries, you really have such a fraction of a second to get somebody's attention when they're going through their mail. And if you have a postcard with the person's name and their property address right on that card, and I don't mean the address, the mailing address in the mailing address section. I mean, as part of the communication, like I've been trying to get a hold of you for the past few weeks regarding your property at, and it's their property address. That's going to get their attention, and if you have to wait for them to open an envelope to see that, they're not going to open that envelope.
That's right. We actually had a guest on here. He kind of does a similar type thing, but what he actually does is, we have something that we call driving for dollars that people do. They'll drive up and down streets, look for houses that look like they're abandoned or, and they're in a nice neighborhood. And he literally developed this app where you could go up with your phone, you take a picture of the house, and the phone looks at the GPS coordinates to find out who the owner is, and literally send a postcard, through the third party with a picture of the house that you just saw and saying, I'm interested in buying this, and he has tremendous success with this new app. And I see what you're saying. I mean, you get something like that. Oh my gosh, that's my property. Especially if you're an out-of-state investor and you're like me in California, and boom, you got a picture of my property in Atlanta or whatever. And right. Boy, that would grab my attention. And
but you have to drive by, which is a little bit of
that's a little extra little thing that you have to do. Now you can do it where you can look up the names of the properties and do the same type of idea, but you've got to use sort of a Google Maps picture, and those aren't always current. But but anyway, it's I mean, when I see the applications, it seems like it'd be really, really effective. You deal with, I imagine, a lot of real estate investors and many other types of businesses. But what would you say is sort of a common mistake that some folks do? Maybe it's a direct mail mistake, or maybe it's a direct marketing mistake that that you just kind of let us know about in advance, that we don't repeat that same mistake.
I would say that probably the biggest mistake that people make is that they don't stick with it enough. If you think about how many times you have to, you yourself have to look at, I'm talking to you, Bill, how many times do you need to see a marketing message before it actually impinges on you? And sometimes, and people respond to things at different, velocities, I would say. Like, if somebody receives something in the mail and it really indicates to them right away, they're going to pick up the phone and do something about it right away, or go online right away. But I would say that most people don't behave that way. They look at something, they think this is interesting, but they're busy and they're going to do something else. And maybe they, take that piece of direct mail and maybe they put it on the fridge, or maybe they move it to a pile of other pieces of mail that they were interested in. So you kind of have to understand how people behave, and then so you can't think that one time that you send out postcards, just this one time, that you're going to turn around and become like a millionaire, or that you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. So I feel like people give up too quickly with direct mail, and that's the biggest mistake. And I can tell you that we've put our clients onto the Inc. 500. I can tell you that the behavior pattern of successful business owners, and the ones that we've really watched their business grow, is they hit their lists over and over again. They become totally well known to whoever their target market is, and they don't just hit it a few times and make an evaluation about whether it worked or not.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Well, that's what I'd like to kind of look at on the other side of it too, is that I recognize that you do need to repeat it, and it needs to be over a period of time. And there is, I guess, a certain level of trust that's established over time too, is, I've seen this guy's stuff. I know, and then you hit them at the right time when they're really looking to sell, for example, a property. Boom, you've got them, and all they have to do is, call or go online or whatever it is to connect with you. Maybe you could sort of give us a success story that you have encountered from a real estate investor that has really worked well for them.
Oh, I would love to. I have so many that I can tell you about. It's great. I mean, I say, that they have to mail over and over again. And I'm talking about the biggest mistake I've seen business owners in general make with their marketing. But you guys are in such a great niche market, because you actually have an opportunity to do very well on your very first mailing. And one of these is, are you familiar with the yellow postcards?
Yeah, sure am. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is one of these yellow postcards, and he provided the list. It was just an absentee owner list, which we can get those lists for people, but he sent it to an absentee owner list, and he spent only $1,478. And let's see, he mailed them out. Oh, he says here he mailed them out monthly for 6 months, but he got so overwhelmed with the number of responses after the first mailer, he asked us to pause the campaign. And this was back in 2016, in August 2016. And then in July of 2017, the numbers almost doubled. From 120 responses in 2016, the responses were up to 320. So that's kind of crazy. That's a 30% response rate. I don't see that kind of response rate with my direct mail to sell direct mail. He closed 11%, which means he bought about 35 houses, and he averaged about, what does it say here? For a revenue averaging $750,000, all after just one mailer. So, wow. Yeah, so that's a crazy one. And obviously he's just mailing over and over again because it's a totally successful action. A more common one, here's someone, they mailed 1,000 pieces 3 times. This is not a yellow card. This is, let's see, they had 665 callers, and 502 of them were unique because we have this call tracking service. And then they got 13 sales resulted from that campaign.
Wow. That's great.
It's good. There's whenever I read these or whenever I do any kind of real estate investor podcast, I'm always like, God, I got to get out there and learn how to do this myself,
That's great. Well, do you also help people from ground up, or do they come to you and say, this is what I want you to print on the card? Or do you have people that come to you and say, I'm really not sure how to design, what to say or what's most effective? How involved are you in that process?
We're extremely involved in it. I mean, when I started PostcardMania, really, I'm a marketing company using direct mail postcards as a medium, and I wasn't a printer per se. So I just happened to bring the printing in-house. So we're all about helping them with results. And one of the things that I do that differentiates my company from others is I have someone here called a results manager. And what she does is she catalogs the results of as many campaigns as she possibly can by industry so that she can share those results with our marketing consultants so that they can then turn around and share those with whoever's calling in. So that's why I'm able to have all these case studies in front of me for real estate investing. So, we will gladly share. I mean, I can send you these in a PDF and you can email them to your subscribers if you want to, if anybody wants to see these. I mean, whether they use me or they use somebody else, I just love people increasing their revenue and increasing their income and growing their businesses. So,
well, that'd be great. That'd be valuable. Yeah, at the very least, we could post it in our show notes for the show today. I mean, it'd be fantastic.
That's cool.
Are there some fixed rules that seem to work? Like, is more copy better than less copy? Is bigger type perform better than smaller type? Are there rules like that, or does it really just vary from campaign to campaign?
I wish that I could tell you, but I have seen the weirdest things work in your industry. I just feel like real estate investing breaks rules that a dentist couldn't do what a real estate investor does on a postcard. I have ones where they're using handwriting font, and to me, it's all variable data. It's the person's name and their address, and it actually looks really terrible to me, but the guy got incredible results. And he mailed this to people over 65 years old. And he got an immediate $20,000 in income from this. That was his immediate ROI. He tracked 82 responses to his most recent mailing. And let's see, then it says his third campaign with us. Oh, this was the handwritten one. And he felt that this one that I'm looking at, he felt that was the most successful. And he spent about $4,800 on everything. But it just, and I look at this and I go, really? this worked. So
That's wild.
I know it's funny. There's other campaigns where there's a more of a traditional postcard design. If you guys want to see designs, if they go to my website at postcardmania.com, if you go to the industry drop down, you can pull real estate investors and you can see a whole bunch of designs on our site. And we only put the design ups that have gotten results. And I think if they go to the case study section, they can see a ton of these right there on my website too.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. You mentioned the yellow postcard, and there's also a comparable sort of yellow letter that goes in envelopes and so forth. Do you find that, let's say, a postcard like the yellow card, I imagine it's yellow with black print, probably, and I mean about as basic as you can get. Do you compare like a full color card results to a yellow card like that, or again, it just varies?
It's so random. I mean, it's just random. I mean, this one guy with a yellow card is saying he's getting 1 to 2% response rate, and out of that, he's getting 1 to 2 sales from each mailing, and the deals are 5 to 10,000 each. To me, that's a very conservative response compared to the other yellow card, And then the one where the guy had the handwriting, that was a white card, and then there's a whole bunch. Here's one, a basic like first name, we buy houses as is, picture of a house, not in great condition. And, call me now to receive a fair cash offer. And he mailed 1,000 pieces 2 times. It was to high equity, non-owner occupied homes, as well as homes identified as distressed by driving for dollars in their local market. And he got, from 2,000 postcards, he got 11 calls. He got 235 clicks back on his Google ad. This is one of those multi-channel campaigns that we did. He only got 2 clicks from his Facebook ads, and he had he had 1 property listed. Maybe this is just, I guess he was listing it. Maybe this is just a realtor. They haven't closed yet, so she doesn't have the actual revenue. But, they're just all over the map is all I can say. All the results data is all over the map. Here, I'm looking at a butt ugly card right now. This card is so bad, but it got them a 24,000% return on investment.
What? Wow.
They sent this one to landlords, non-owner occupied properties in specific zip codes. And they've done 4 campaigns with us. And they're a really long time customer. And I would never design this card this way. So it's kind of like your industry is all over the map on how to design the card, what works. I personally think the list has more to do with it than anything else. And
right.
Good be point. Very data-driven campaigns. And the message should be, having to do with that type of data that you pull. I mean, you can pull mortgage default and, and you can even pull, bankruptcy. So.
Wow. Now, do you help with lists as well for your clients?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Tell me, how that works. Let's say here I am. I'm retired. I'm trying to get some rental properties. So I want to go direct to seller, but I want something off market. Maybe I'm looking for small multifamily like duplexes and triplexes and so forth. And I come to you and I say, look, this is what I'm trying to do. These are the markets I'm interested in. Now, do you help them at that point? Putting the card together, finding the list, and so forth. Everything.
Yeah, what I recommend to anyone listening to this that wants to do this is to please talk to my marketing consultants and allow them to ask you a million questions. They really know what they're doing, and that they'll come up with the best campaign for you based on what you want to do. But they're really good at like string pulling to figure out exactly what you should be doing for the market you want to hit based on what we've done before that was successful. And they're very consultative. They'll spend as much time as you're comfortable meeting, on the phone to go over everything. It's not like we're not just selling print, we're selling the results, because we know that if you find some properties and you buy them and hold on to them, or you buy them and flip them, whatever you're trying to do with them, and it's successful for you, then you'll come back to us. So we're very, very interested in making sure that you're getting results.
As another technical question here, but does it matter whether it is a bulk mailing or whether there's a postage stamp on the postcard?
Not particularly, to be honest. I mean, we have had people in specific industries do what we call live stamping. Live stamping is, it is a paper stamp that is adhered to the piece, and it looks like a personalized thing that somebody put a stamp on, and you can see, better results with that. Is it worth it? Is it important? I don't know. I don't know if I would say, yes, definitely live stamp. And if you don't live stamp, you're making a mistake. I just think with a postcard, it's not necessary. Perhaps with a letter with a handwritten font on the outside, then somebody might go, oh, this is a real letter to me. But I don't even think people fall for that anymore,
Right. Yeah. To me, it doesn't seem like it would make that big a difference. But, I don't know. Maybe you have industry stats that show otherwise. But interesting. Well, I'm kind of given that example I shared with you. You've got somebody who's retired. They're looking to build a real estate portfolio that's going to help them in their retirement years, and hopefully to grow a portfolio that they'll hand down as a legacy to their kids and grandkids and so forth. What advice would you have for them to, sort of launch this effort from a direct mail standpoint?
Well, I mean, my advice would be that you really go for the data. I would never just send to like an area that has maybe more downtrodden homes or something like that. I would definitely go for specific data, so that whether it's absentee owner that maybe want to get out of taking care of their home, the property that they, it may be absentee owner out of state, maybe they're tired of it. You can also go for foreclosure or pre-foreclosure if you're trying to pick up homes like in decent areas, where you can get a good amount of rent for them. You can start mailing to pre-foreclosure and maybe get the person to start thinking, and then keep hitting them. So definitely I would do a data-driven campaign. And, what to do once you get the leads. I don't know. At that point, my advice stops.
Right. No, I understand. Definitely. I mean, they would have to, yeah, I think maybe a good script or a good, follow-up, strategy as well. Some people have it ring right into their cell phone. Some have 800 number. I know there's a lot of different approaches people can take after the mailing.
Yeah, there are. And we really recommend a multi-channel approach. I feel like if you're going to be spending the money and you're doing it, you're almost wasting your money if you don't do a multi-channel approach. We have something that we call Everywhere Small Business, and it actually puts your message in front of your target market everywhere that they're spending their time. So you wind up getting we'll have a Facebook ad hit before, a sponsored Facebook ad before the postcard hits their mailbox. They'll see a Facebook ad about your message. And then once they receive the postcard, if they're interested and you're sending them, we always recommend that you send them to some kind of a site, a website or a landing page. Then we follow them. Are you familiar with, or are your listeners familiar with the concept of retargeting?
Yes, I think so. I don't know exactly if our audience is, but I'm familiar. Yes.
Okay, good. So then we'll retarget them on Facebook and Google so that they are seeing the message over and over again. You wind up getting that repeat message in a short period of time. You know what I mean? So that it's not like, okay, I'm going to send another mailing to the exact same list, which of course I want everybody to do. But at the same time, I want people to see the message, often right away, if that makes sense.
Sure. And that has got to be interesting. I mean, if you've got the the Facebook. I mean, do you have like the that information in the same list where you're mailing to people that also have a Facebook account that you know about?
Yeah, so basically what we do is we upload the mailing list to Facebook and look for the matches. Now, Facebook, they keep changing constantly. So when we first started doing this, they would give us the matches and they would say, okay, we were able to match 75% of the list, or we were able to match 90% of the list, or, 50% of the list. However much they were able to match, they would tell us. Then they turned that feature off and they would not tell us how much. They started getting nervous about all the, talks in front of Congress, et cetera. And they said they wouldn't tell us how many they could match. Then they turned it back on and they were able to tell us, and now they can't tell us again. But we know from our experience, I know, it's just so crazy. We know from our experience that they will match anywhere on a consumer list, meaning going to people in homes. They're going to match anywhere from 50 to 90%. And if you were targeting specifically commercial, they could match anywhere from 30 to 50%.
Gotcha. And what kind of a quantity would you recommend to somebody sort of starting off? I know that's hard to say, but let's say that they're just starting out and they're looking at pre-foreclosures. That might be a good opportunity. What kind of quantities would you recommend to somebody like that?
The first thing I would do before I even recommend a specific quantity is I would get a list count and see how many homes are in pre-foreclosure in the area that they're wanting to buy. And then I would see, then at least I would know what my whole universe is. Like maybe it's only a few hundred homes and you want to hit them over and over again. Or maybe, your area is an entire state and you're willing to go anywhere in the state of Florida. So you're going to have a much higher number. So I always start out trying to find out, like, what do how big is the universe? And then say to the person, okay, how many would you like to hit? It seems like in your industry, you can do a smaller universe, like, maybe 2,000 properties and get pretty decent results with that small universe. So, but again, I have these in front of me. I have someone who, mailed to two lists. No, what did they do? Mailed to complete list 2 times with 2 months in between each card. And they did 12,000 records. Whereas another card, they're mailing to 1,000 records of absentee homeowners. And they bought 3 homes and this was a flipper. So he made 25,000 in 2 mailings just from a very small amount of personalized postcards. So, it's like, I'd have to test the area, and see
Gotcha.
how many cards mailed created how many phone calls to him. And then you can sort of decide at that point.
You put lists together through your company or using outside vendors, or somebody who comes in with their own list company or their own lists. You work in either situation?
Yes, in either situation. Often people will provide us with the list that they want to mail to. My marketing consultants will ask them a lot of questions about it and make sure that it's actually a list that's going to get them a response. Data is weird. You can get like old data and somebody's selling you data. List vendors can be kind of like shysters a little bit, I hate to say. So, I always want to make sure that the data that you're getting, that you have good data and it's not old, especially in this industry.
Gotcha. I would imagine if you were the ones that put the list together, you'd definitely make sure that it was a current list. And great. Well, wow, this has been really, really helpful. What's sort of ahead for your company now? As you're looking ahead, what's sort of exciting you about the future for PostcardMania?
For PostcardMania, we have something super exciting that we've been working on for a while now, and it's let's see if I can explain it. Like let's say you had a giant universe of real estate investors, and you wanted to offer them the best postcards possible for real estate investors and the data. We would be able to create a white label storefront for you on your website, and you could sell the postcards directly to the investors. So the storefronts and being able to design a card online, this has been around for a long time. And all the different invitations you can do and announcements and Christmas cards. But what was missing that we finally figured out is how to do the list, the searching for the list on the storefront, rather than there's literally like there's storefronts out there, but none of them have the list data. So now we have a way to have any kind of industry, real estate investing or any industry, go onto a storefront and order directly from there. It's a really, really cool product, and it's very user-friendly. Even old dogs could figure it out. And, and so they're out there. We have storefronts out there, and that's the exciting thing for us, so that we don't have to do every single sale directly ourselves.
Oh, that's neat. So it integrates in with the list and in the postcard design and everything.
Everything. Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Well, this has been really, really helpful. I think some good information. Sounds like also a very good service for people that are interested in doing direct mail to reach those off-market properties. So we are moving now into what we call our Wrap It Up session here, where I just ask you a series of quick questions on resources that you use and you think would be helpful. So if you're ready to wrap it up, we will move. Let's do it. All right. Favorite business book?
It changes all the time. I'm really into this book right now called Building Your Story Brand. I wish I could. Oh, you know what my favorite, the one that I recommend the most though? I love that book, Building Your Story Brand.
Yeah.
But there's also a book I love called Don't Make Me Think. It's by a guy called Steve Krug, and it's about web usability. It's like, if you're designing a website or a web page or a landing page, this is a really non-technical book that anybody can understand, especially if you've ever been on a website and have been frustrated. And it's a great marketing book. Don't make me think.
Great. Two good book recommendations like that. What would you say your most valuable website for success is?
Oh my goodness.
Other than your own, of course.
Other than my own. I know. That's the one. That's where I want to go, obviously. For success, for like a business website. See, since I'm in the marketing world, I really like marketing type websites, where I get data about marketing. So I particularly like, Marketing Sherpa. I like, what's the other one that I'm always going to? That's specifically for marketers. Since I'm an old dog, I can't remember URLs and website names really well.
I know. At least you're not saying www before everything, like I would probably be doing. But okay, Marketing Sherpa sounds good. And the other one, if you think of it, you could send me after, and I'll include it in the show notes.
Cool.
How about favorite app on your phone?
I like to scroll through Facebook personally. I just, it's interesting. I use Facebook for, I love Cash App. But I use Facebook for really just building rapport with my, customers and prospects. Like, even though it's all my personal page, I just stay out of politics completely on my personal Facebook. And I wind up getting people who really feel connected to me and like a friend, and then they reach out, and it's just a follow-up tool. We are only actually connecting people with my personal Facebook that are already in my database. They've already reached into PostcardMania from our marketing. So it's really just used as like a way to stay in front of people and get them to like me more, because it's really what you're trying to do with your marketing. You're just trying to get people to like you more so that they're willing to talk to you on the phone. So I like Facebook for that.
That's cool. Okay. How about a favorite quote?
Let's see. A favorite quote. How about, I have one for you. Never regret yesterday. Life is in you today, and you make your tomorrow. And that is by L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, here's our final one here. This one is a little bit tricky. We usually ask this of real estate investors, but we're going to try it with you anyway, because you're a marketing person here. So let's say something happened catastrophic and you just, the whole company just collapsed and you had to start all over again, and all you have is $1,000 in cash. Okay. What would you do to relaunch your postcard business?
I I don't think I would relaunch my postcard business. I think I'd become a real estate investor.
Okay, that could be your answer, Start direct mailing to pre-foreclosures here.
Exactly. Like such a good result. I'm like,
Absentee owners. I know. You got to admit, I mean, those are some amazing results people are getting that are real estate investors. That's for sure. Okay, I'll accept that.
Okay, good.
Well, gosh, we are I actually ran a little bit longer than I thought I would here, so my apologies to you. But I thought you had some great information. I think that'll be valuable for people. How can people find out more about you and your company? Ask questions.
Good. Well, I have some specials that are just for your listeners.
Wow.
So we have postcardmania.com/REI report. If you go to postcardmania.com/REI report, you can get a download of all the case studies that I've been talking about.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah,
great.
you can see the designs right there and get your ideas right there. I also have, this is so funny. There's a whole bunch of stats that I have here about direct mail. We also have that. If they went to postcardmania.com/stats, then they can get that PDF. I have a phone number if you want to talk to a marketing consultant and you really want to see what all your options are and your costs. If you really want to go for this, I have a specific number I'd like you to dial. That's a call tracking phone number, so we can see how many people came to us from this particular podcast. So if you can write this one down or put it on the call notes or the podcast notes, that thing that you were mentioning you have.
Yeah, our show notes. Yes.
Your show notes. It's 855-980-5492. And let me see if there's anything else here. Oh, and if you want to try the integrated campaign, that's the Google and Facebook with call tracking and mail tracking. You can go to postcardmania.com/REI everywhere. And of course, REI is for real estate investor, REI everywhere. And you'll get 1,000 free postcards with your purchase of Everywhere Small Business Campaign. So we'll add on an extra 1,000 free postcards.
Wow. That's a great, sounds like a great deal. Awesome.
Some really good offers on here my team put together.
Cool. The website again is
postcardmania.com. Postcardmania.com.
Okay, great. Well, man, it's been great having you on, Joy. It's just some good information I think our folks can use, and I think, it sounds like you're doing a great job over there at PostcardMania. So we're about ready to close out, and of course, what's last here. We have all of our shows closed out by our guests with a great old dog, and you said you fell in that category. I didn't say it, but you did. Since you're an old dog, you got to know how to howl, right?
You're going to make me howl. I should have got to practice howl before we started recording. Okay.
I bet you're natural. I can tell.
Okay, here we go. This is the last thing, and then we hang up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, here it goes. Wait a minute. Oh, is that okay?
That's good. Sure. Hey, that's better than some, so.
Yeah. We should have had a practice howl. Anyway.
Oh, gosh. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Joy. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. You're fun. Thank you for having me.
Sure. I also want to thank our old dog listeners out there, too, for joining us. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, but the fact that you've taken the time to join us means a lot, and we greatly appreciate it. Please note, old dog listeners, everything presented here and that Joy spoke about will be in our show notes, which can be accessed at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog. And you are going to look for our episode with Joy Gendusa. So that is it for today. Remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Until next time, keep moving forward and may God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.